Information Network. It helps to be connected, and nobody knows more of the bookies in Las Vegas than Brent Musburger. It's My Guys in the Desert with the legend of the guys behind the counter, broadcasting only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network at vsin.com and SiriusXM Channel 204. Live from the VSIN studios, it's the one and only Brent Musburger.
All right, Vinny, it's great to be back. Cash and tickets, of course, is what it's all about. So, Twin, our head engineer, and Amal, I thank you for the $10 on the Cougars of Washington State. These guys bet in. But then Randy McKay showed up. He brought me a souvenir from the butt-kicking, North Dakota all over Montana. And this 10 will go toward a dinner at Michael's for my guy Randy McKay, the VSIN fan of last year. And that brings me to John Murray. Each of the last 2 weeks in the contest over at his book, the Westgate Superbook, I have gone 3-2. I haven't calculated for sure, but I believe, Vinny, I'm sitting at 22 points, probably in the 200s, 300s, whatever it was. If we, John, my man, you got to pick it up this week. That Bears pick just didn't make it with that special teams performance. How are you, lad?
I didn't do you any favors with that Bears +3 pick. It was a tough one. You know, if you give up a kickoff return for a touchdown and a blocked punt return for a touchdown, you're probably not going to cover the spread.
Yeah, I would say that was absolutely the case. But what about Amal?
Yes, sir.
What about this guy Trubisky? Should he be a running back?
Well, you know, one of the problems I had when the Bears took him so high was, first of all, the move they made in the trade, just moving up one spot in front of San Francisco. And you draft a quarterback who had only played 12 games in North Carolina, so you didn't have a lot of tape on him. Look, from a physical standpoint, Brent, he brings everything to the table that you want in a quarterback, good mobility, good arm strength. But the reality of it is, I think this team, even though people may not have looked at it like this, when they made the Khalil Mack trade, they are built to win now. And I think Trubisky is the one piece that's holding them back at this point.
And, Vinny, your feeling here?
I think, you know, the game, we talked about it, the game against Tampa Bay, you had to throw out because it was Tampa Bay.
Yep.
And, you know, this is a situation where they're very consistent on defense for the most part. I mean, but the inconsistency at quarterback is what's going to plague them. But the other part is, think about the other quarterbacks in the division, right?
Right.
He's number 4 when it comes to right now quarterbacks in that division. They probably have the best overall defense, although Minnesota's picked it up in the last couple of weeks. But when it comes to quarterback play, which is the most critical position in the league anymore, right now Trubisky's number 4.
You know, you can point to the special teams touchdowns, and that was a big factor. But the reality is Trubisky had some passes that should have been intercepted.
Yeah.
And had they been, New England would have won much easier than they did. So you can really look at that game both ways. The +3 looked good, though. The line came down a little bit.
Did it come down?
Yeah, when Gronk was ruled out, you were looking at like 1.5.
I liked it. I liked your pick when I heard that Gronk wasn't playing. The other side of it is, I lost on the Chargers over in London. Gordon went down with that hamstring late in the week.
Yeah.
I never would have backed the Chargers to cover had I known that Gordon couldn't play, and we did not know. So be it. All right, a great betting World Series. Okay, what is better than the first time ever the Boston Red Sox and the Los Angeles Dodgers? I know there's all this talk about 1916. The Dodgers weren't even close to Los Angeles back in the time, okay? This is a bettor's dream, this World Series. I know that Amal is on the Red Sox simply because he's been on them all year. Finally, when it went to +140, Vinny, I don't know what it is here, but I took the Dodgers to win only because it's plus money. I've got no idea whether they're going to be able to be. I mean, the Red Sox won 108 games this year.
Well, you're talking about a series price, right?
Series price, not tonight's game.
Got as high as 75.55 here at the South Point. Right now sits at -50, +30. But I think the bigger surprise is the price of Game 1 as high as it's gotten with Clayton Kershaw as a dog. This game got up to $1.65.
Really?
$1.65. It sits at $1.62 now. But to your point, Brent, this is the matchup short of the Yankees Dodgers, which would have been a great ride. I think this is going to be as big a right. The Red Sox and the Dodgers in the World Series. I think we'll set another record here for a World Series handle. I mean, it'll depend on how many games it goes, and it figures to go more than 4. But if this series gets extended to 6 or 7 games, I mean, we've already seen tremendous wagering on game one alone. You got again 2 very public teams, 2 storied franchises, and a great pitching matchup. So, by the way, we did some research, and Timmy Fitz did some work for me yesterday. Clayton Kershaw was a dog in 2012.
That's the last time?
2012 at St. Louis, July 24th. He got beat 8-2. It lasted 5.2 innings. He was plus 15 cents. Before that, on July 6th of the same year, he was a pick'em at Arizona. But he has not been a dog since July of 2012. Think about that.
Wow.
How about that? Wow.
Brent, this number shocked me. For me, there are 2 guys in the last 35 years I consider the best pitchers in baseball. Clayton Kershaw, Pedro Martinez. Clayton Kershaw, right now I'm looking, across the city, he's between $1.50 to $1.55. Look, Boston is great, and you talked about it. I've been on this Red Sox team all year.
Yeah.
To me,
you got on them in April, and you haven't gotten off.
Yeah, I thought they were the best team, but when you look at this price in an individual game, Chris Sale has not been strong in the sense that he's pitched deep into games since August. You're getting Clayton Kershaw plus $1.50. I don't want to use hyperbole, but we will never see Kershaw at this price again, unless he's at the tail end of his career.
Not until he's an old man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Until he's at the end of his career, yeah.
Boston is just a much more complete team. They're so good defensively in the outfield. Their lineup is so deep. And Chris Sale is pretty good, too, Amal. I mean, I know what you're saying.
He's great. But John, Clayton Kershaw is the preeminent pitcher of the last decade.
Yeah. Oh, he is. He is.
Here's what's interesting. The Dodgers are a very, very deep team. Now, they do not have the stars, the star power that you have on the Red Sox, but they are going to start an all right-handed hitting lineup tonight against Chris Sale. Dozier will go at second base. And remember, Brian Dozier, being in the American League, he knows all about Fenway. You've got to know something about Fenway when you go in there to play. Trust me, especially the left fielder and the shortstop. Justin Turner is going to bat second and play third. David Freese, who led off with a home run in Milwaukee in Game 6, going to bat third and play first. The guy that I'm counting on, if the Dodgers are to upset them and win the World Series, is a guy who knows as much about Fenway as the Red Sox, and that's Manny Machado, who has been in there all the time with the Orioles. He'll bat cleanup. Chris Taylor goes out in left field. Remember, he has been with Seattle, so he knows a little bit about playing the monster in left field. The DH will be Matt Kemp, ideal. Most National League teams don't have anybody like Matt Kemp who can go in as a DH into Fenway or Yankee Stadium. This is a team that is built for this series. Enrique Hernandez will be in center. Yasiel Puig will be in right. Austin Barnes behind the plate. That is 9 right-handed hitters going up against Chris Sale. Now, listen, maybe he'll throw a no-hitter tonight. I don't know. But I like taking my chances with 9 right-handed hitters, Vinny.
Well, again, Brent, just strictly from a value perspective here. And again, Kershaw might go out. He might get bombed in the first inning. But to Amal's point, very unlikely, yes, I know. But to Amal's point, this is where more sophisticated professional bettors are going to look and say, well, why would I lay a price on Sale when now it's in excess of $1.60 when I've got one of the better premier pitchers in all of baseball going at a plus price? I mean, the value is there on Kershaw. So it's a matter of price, really, and the price is there. Again, we've not seen it for and when he was a dog in 2012, like I said, plus 15 cents. I mean, think about that.
Brent, I want to go back to the point you just made I thought was outstanding about this lineup being basically an American League lineup, and you bring in Matt Kemp. The one thing that I hate, and I am anti-DH, but I wish it was there during the World Series because the Red Sox are going to have a hard time bringing Mookie into second base. But to me, this lineup, you've got home run hitters everywhere. Bellinger, Puig, Kemp, Manny Machado. These are guys that are 25-plus homer type of guys. They've got a great stacked lineup. And I think from an offensive standpoint, they may not hit with the consistency and the batting average that Boston does, but they can hit for power with anyone in baseball. And you're playing in a hitter-friendly park compared to where they play at Chavez Ravine. I like their chances in this matchup. I think they've got to me, Brent, I get based on the betting numbers, it's a little bit skewed, but I thought this line should have been Sale at around minus 125 or so because the Dodgers are very good at taking pitches. I think Sale's pitch count's going to get up there. I would be hard-pressed to see him getting past 6 innings.
Would you have given any consideration to starting Kershaw in Game 2? Kind of giving Boston Game 1 with Sale, then trying to steal Game 2? We talked about that when we were setting the series price.
Let me say quickly, absolutely, positively, no.
It was something we were discussing.
Because here's the situation, and you saw it in the National League Championship Series. You get 2 starts out of him, and you've got him in the bullpen in a Game 7. That's why I thought, what a great story of managers. Listen, I want to change the subject. I don't know if you realize, but Sora, the manager of the Red Sox, this is the first Major League manager born in Puerto Rico, okay? Now, Dave Roberts, half African-American, half Japanese. This is the first time we've ever had a World Series with 2 minority managers. And Dave Roberts is apt to get a standing ovation in Boston. Let us remember that when the Dodgers traded him, 2004, he steals second base to ignite the comeback against the New York Yankees. I mean, I love what Dave Roberts has done. I've watched him carefully with the Dodgers. I love his patience. I love what he. Listen, we're going to second guess both these guys. That's what baseball's all about. It's great second guessing managers. But these 2 guys, Amal, have done a terrific job.
Well, one of the things, Brent, we talked about this earlier in the year.
Cora, I'm sorry, I mispronounced his name. Yeah, Alex Cora.
To me, the skills that both of these guys have are in terms of managing the people. Brent, you've been around baseball clubhouses for a long time, and that's the key. Look,
absolutely.
Machado's got talent. Betts has talent. We know what they can do. They're going to do what they do. But the ability to finesse and massage people in a certain way and kind of keep the team unified as you go through almost 7-8 months when you include spring training, that's not easy. And your good friend, I talk about this all the time, one of my favorite people in sports, Dick Vermeil, the best I've ever seen at kind of getting people to buy in from a leadership perspective. And that's what Dave Roberts has done. The way he approaches guys, the way he talks to them, you see his personality come through, and Cora is somewhat similar in that sense.
I think Dave Roberts' greatest managerial job in this postseason was managing the Machado situation in Milwaukee. What happened there? That could have easily derailed that whole team with the incidents at first base and the antics in the latter part of that series. Think about that. So both of these managers have done a terrific job, and they deserve to be where they're at.
So I'm all talking about management. I've got to tell you guys an anecdote. When did I travel? 4 or 5 years with the White Sox. Al Lopez was a manager. I can't remember. So the Senior was a great, great manager. I learned so much about baseball. He was a great catcher in his day. And so Washington, I believe we were in the old Griffin Stadium, okay? And it was after a very, very tough game in which the White Sox had lost, and the players had gone out to the buses. Some of them had gone their own way. They're on their own to get back to the hotel. And I had gone out with in fact, I'd gone back upstairs to file a story. And Al later told me that a young lady came into his office as he was getting ready, feeling really bummed out, and said, "Mr. Lopez, introduce herself." And she said, "I'm going to have one of your players arrested." And Al, being very, very nice man, said, "Well, young lady, can you help me out? And can you tell me A, who it is, and B, what the problem is?" And she said, "Well, he's going to be the father of my child." Okay, so Al registers that. And I won't tell you who it is. So now Al's got a problem. Okay, now he's got a young lady, and he's holding up the team bus out here. And so he engages her in small talk. And, can we get this, settled? Can we have a meeting with you and the player in question? And she says, "Absolutely, positively not. I'm going to have him arrested when he takes to the pitcher's mound tomorrow." So I won't give you the player's name. I really don't want to do that. But at least that's how Al found out it was his starting pitcher. The next night, a little paternity suit being brewed, okay? And it just to Amal's point, The whole thing is management of people. And listen, you and I can change pitchers, bunt, don't bunt, hit and run, all that. We all second guess it. If it works, it's fine. But it is the management of people, and things break out when you're together, as long as it is. But listen, I'm really looking forward to this World Series. I have to tell you that my favorite hitter in Major League Baseball right now is J.D. Martinez of the Red Sox. If you're around a television set, you're getting a beer, or maybe you're at home or something, when he comes up to the plate, pay special attention to him, okay? He is as thorough a Major League hitter as you're ever going to see. Now, he'll be the DH, and he'll bat cleanup tonight. And the showdown between Kershaw and Martinez is going to be something to watch. Right-handed hitters, so he'll be looking at the left hand. And we'll come back. As you know, I could talk about this World Series for a long, long time. We'll keep you updated on the numbers. I think it starts, guys, does it start around 5 o'clock our time, Pacific time?
5:05.
5:05? Okay, good. Okay, so much to talk about. So many stories. The New York Giants. The media. Mathematics. Give me a break. Back live, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
Catch VSiN last week. Here's some of what you missed.
When you take a 3-team tease with 10 points, you're always under that gun. Well, I'll win 2, I'll lose 1, and then the bet's over. But I did my homework this week, as I try to do. And I really like UCLA.
And then who do you want to pair them with?
Houston is at Navy. They're at Annapolis. Houston is 11.5 points, so I would take that game down to 1.5, and then Houston would just have to win by 2.
Right. And then your third team.
Memphis is at Missouri.
And you liked Memphis last week. You were all over Memphis.
I was all over Memphis. Another high-powered team, very good offensive team. I think it's a shootout. I think this could be a 100-point game.
So I go play my lucky machine here, and knowing Ryan, Michael, you guys, this best machines in town. Bob Dancer will tell you. It took about 3 minutes, Mitch. Won about $5,000. Took about 3 minutes. I will buy you lunch today. Can you get a shot of me here? Yeah.
So you're showing up like at 4:01. We wave you off, and you decide to go play video poker, and you hit a royal flush in 3 minutes, and you just won $5,000.
Close to 5,000.
Yeah. It's good. I like the way that works.
You know, in baseball, when we talk about, those of us who handicap baseball and have done so for many years, we always, in our analytics, we talk about splits. And specifically, we talk about home road splits sometimes with certain pitchers. Just an odd thing with certain pitchers based on ballpark. Some teams sign pitchers based on their skill set and their particular dimensions and conditions of their own ballpark. Some of these football teams in the NFL this year seem particularly home road splittish.
So they were really just protecting themselves. Yeah, except for that dude on the right. I don't know what he's clowns thinking he's going to do. Yeah. But the two guys that hit in the orange shirt and the blue, they weren't. Like, the orange shirt's more leaning towards the right. The guy in the blue is kind of protecting himself. Mookie's glove closed before the ball. I don't know if that's because he touched a hand or not and it's a reaction. I don't know if he's going to catch it, but what I do know is the fans did not go into the field of play to interfere with that ball. I thought that calling that an out was wrong. I mean, I don't know how else you put it. Jose Altuve in Houston got robbed.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204 and vsin.com.
John Murray and Vinny Magliulo, I neglected to ask you, John, how'd you do over the weekend over the Superbook? Was it good for the book, or the bettors take dead aim?
You know, Sunday was our worst Sunday of the season so far, Brent. We did get saved some money by a couple results. The Browns game staying under saved us some money. Mm-hmm. The Kansas City game staying under saved us a lot of money.
Interesting.
That was the Sunday night game. That was big for us.
Sunday night game was the best game of the year, I'd say, for the bettors this year. And to John's point, if that game had gone over, probably would have been 3 or 4 times the loss.
Okay. Brent, you got a Kleenex there. Will you give one of them to each?
Yeah. We're not crying. We're not crying. We
No,
just
I
transfer
asked him.
funds.
I'm just
I
kidding.
answered
I'm
the
just
question.
questions
I'm on
that
your
are
side.
posed to me.
Let me tell
I
you.
give a cry a towel.
He asked
I'm
the
all
question. We
excited.
gave an accurate answer. Eat your tofu. What is that?
We will survive. We had a good day Saturday. bro.
Credit the Raiders for opening the trade floodgates. Obviously, we've all been through the Khalil Mack and the two number ones from the Bears coming. That was back in September. And yesterday, they closed for a number one. Amari Cooper goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Now let me say, and yeah, I know I'm a bit of a house man here, but that is a terrific trade for the Raiders. Okay?
Yes, it is.
That you were able to get a number one draft choice for someone who really is not your elite receiver right now. So that's a terrific exchange. And let me just say this about Amari Cooper. In this sense, I can't really talk about Khalil Mack. I did not cover him. I know what people have told me. Great young man. I've covered Amari Cooper at Alabama, and I've covered him with the Raiders, okay? Terrific young man, very quiet, very, very quiet. Difficult to get him to speak up, and I feel that there was, I don't know, some kind of a split between Derek Carr and him. I think when Derek said that Jared Cook was his favorite receiver, I thought it was kind of game, set, and match. But so let me go around the table and ask what John. Let me start with you. What did you think about that trade?
You know, I had a somewhat controversial opinion of the Khalil Mack trade. I thought it was a good trade for the Raiders, and I think this is a great trade for the Raiders. And I think the Raiders are building with an eye towards 2020. When they get here to Las Vegas, they're going to have 5 first-round draft picks between now and then, probably 2 very high ones, their own. They're going to have all this cap space. No state income tax here in Nevada, a brand new stadium. You tell me free agents aren't going to come want to play for that team. All these first-round picks. I think if you're a Las Vegan, you're waiting to be a Raiders fan when they get here, you should be very happy with what they've done this season and all the draft picks they have coming.
Good points. I think to the specific trade yesterday, the Cooper trade, it tells you how desperate the Cowboys are for a receiver, right? And because of their poor passing game. And if you're going to give up a 1 for Amari Cooper, then you're really, you're in trouble. Nothing against Amari Cooper, but that's a pretty desperate move right there. To the future, yeah. But now there's also pressure on the Raiders to make sure that those picks bear fruit, right? I mean, you could have all the draft picks in the world. Look what it's taken, how long it's taken the Browns to get to where they're starting to get on track.
Brent, if I were to give grades, the Raiders get an A++, and the Cowboys get an F. When you look big picture here, first of all, you and I talked about this last week. We thought Cooper was going to get moved. I thought at best you get a third-round pick for him. Here's the problem I have with this move by Dallas. First of all, you gave up a first-round pick. Nobody else was giving a first-round pick up for him. I believe the Raiders were going to release Cooper at the end of this year. He's owed $13.9 million if they exercise his option on his rookie contract next year. Now, Dallas is going to be stuck with that number. You're not going to trade a first-round pick and release a guy. This makes no sense to me from a cap adjustment standpoint if you're Dallas. And this guy, while he's got talent, I don't know if it's Carr, I don't know if it's the offense, what have you, but the last couple of years he's been MIA for what we expected out of him. I don't think he helps Dallas enough to where all of a sudden the Cowboys become a front runner in the NFC East. I just don't get the move. I thought the Raiders have made some great moves going towards the future.
Where is Dallas going with Amari Cooper?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, let me just back up a little bit here in defense of Amari, and let me talk about the Cowboys, okay? I do know Dak Prescott, having covered him at Mississippi State a lot. Dak Prescott is never going to be a good pocket quarterback. That's no scoop for you people out there who follow and bet on football. You all know that. But on the move, okay, if he and Amari start to freelance together, okay, if Amari is able to move when Dak moves, okay, he won't be the worst that you've seen with the Cowboys. Trust me, he is better. He's better than what they've got.
No,
okay?
there's no question about that. It's not an argument against what bringing him in. My argument is twofold. The first-round pick, and number 2, because keep in mind, I don't think Dallas is going to make the postseason. So you're looking at having no worse than a 20th pick. So you're going to be a team pick, right? You're going to be somewhere probably between 14 and 20. And number 2, here's the bigger issue, Brent. You're going to pay Amari Cooper $14 million. When I look on the market, I don't think Amari Cooper's worth $14 million.
A cap. Okay. That one I agree. Okay, let's go there. Now, But let me just tell you that the Philadelphia Eagles had offered it too. In other words, what the Raiders had and what they used beautifully was leverage. Okay. Sure. In other words, I am sure that Dallas in the first conversation would want something like this. Would you take a 3?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so. Okay, well, we'll get back to you. And then they go back, and they did a lot of research on Amari Cooper. I know they've been looking into him. They've gone back and they've talked to Coach Saban and everything. And he's really a fine young man. No, there's no character issues with him. Then they call the next time, hey, the Eagles have offered us a 2 now. What? And so they were up against it. To get him, they had to give the 1.
I can appreciate.
And it's a middle. If the Cowboys are to win some games, here, I guess you figure that there's probably a dozen elite players in the first round. Would you say 12, 15?
That's a good number.
I used to know that, something. So if the Cowboys figure they're going to win some games, so we're going to be down in that 17, 18 spot maybe. So we figure, okay, that's like a second-round draft choice. That had to be what they figured, Amal, or they don't say we'll give you the 1. I mean, I totally agree with you.
Well, they're also leveraging a team within a division that's wide open.
Yeah.
So that
exactly. They're not completely out of it yet.
I agree with you, but here's the thing. From Philadelphia's standpoint, I think he holds more value in terms of the impact he could have this year. Philly's built to win right now. Their window is currently available. So you add an Amari Cooper, Alshon Jeffrey gets healthy. Right. I think this team can come back. Mm-hmm. Even though Dallas is in a wide-open division, are you really that confident in the Cowboys? Look, they scored 10 points. I mean, I know they missed that last field goal. They scored virtually 10 points in the final 4 minutes of the game. The first 56 minutes, they couldn't do anything in that football game. I'm not convinced that this team – I think the blueprint has been set. Shut down Zeke and let Dak beat you.
Now, let's go back to the Raiders for a second because, be careful. Obviously, this is a team rebuilding, not a good team. In my opinion – they're going to miss Marshawn Lynch right now more than they're going to miss Amari Cooper, okay? We shall see what they come up with against the Colts this Sunday. Doug Martin will step in. Marshawn is really going to be missed as a top-flight running back. Anyway, one other trade that I want to ask about, you guys, before we go to break. Eli Apple. Now, this is the other side of the coin. The Raiders were able to get a number 1, okay? Eli Apple was a number 1 draft choice of the New York Giants, okay? A defensive back. We know he had some issues in there. They sent him to New Orleans today for next year's 4th-round draft choice and a 2027th round pick, okay? So this is the inability. This is the other side of it. Now, the Saints desperately needed another defensive back. I'm going to go to Amal because Eli Apple is out of Ohio State. And, Amal, you probably know more about him than I do. But he did not work out with the Giants, and now he's going to the Saints.
Well, first of all, when he was drafted number 10 by the Giants a few years ago, I was completely shocked. I didn't think he was that good of a cover corner. Look, the Buckeyes have had a ton of guys go in the first round. Roby, Garyon Conley, Marshawn Lattimore, just a few guys in the last few years that have gone in the first round. And I thought he was one of the weaker ones. One of the scouting reports on him said had no life skills. And I know you sit there and say, what does that have to do with his football skills? One scout said, this is the dumbest kid I've seen, not necessarily from an intellectual standpoint, but just have no understanding of life. Like he couldn't do anything, and that's why in New York he had an issue. We saw some problems there with with Landon Collins, who's an outstanding player for the Giants. But here's the thing with the Saints, Brent. I look at it from this perspective. Crawley and Williams were getting burnt every time. They're opposite Marshawn Lattimore. You bring in Apple. He's in the secondary with Von Bell, who he played with at Ohio State. They're hoping maybe a change of scenery changes the dynamic for him. And here it's the other problem I have, though, for New Orleans. They're all in. Because next year they already have lost their 1 and their 4.
Yep.
So this is Super Bowl or bust for New Orleans. And they know their window is now. I don't even know if they have a window next year.
It should be Super Bowl or bust. I mean, how old is Drew Brees right now? I mean, he can only do this for so many more years, Amal.
I agree with you, but you've kind of destroyed your future because, I mean, you don't have a first round and a 4th round pick. You can't even make moves moving forward.
Well, you got Teddy Bridgewater under center, though. That looks like to be the heir apparent at the quarterback position. But I think that the sellers in the first agreement, the Raiders benefited there. I think the buyers here. I think the better recipient here immediately for this year and maybe next year, to Amal's points and John's. I think the Saints got the better of this one.
The Raiders benefited big time. You don't move a first-round pick. You can lock a guy in a cheap contract for 4 or 5 years. Amal already touched on it, but Amari Cooper's about to be making a lot of money. Now they get to get a new player in there that they're paying, a fraction of that.
Brent, I thought Cooper was going to get released at the end of the year.
No, I know, because of the contract.
Yes. That's
and let me remind everybody of one other thing. his agent, Amari's agent, is the same agent that Khalil Mack had, and there was a lot of leakage. Let me tell you something. That agent goes to the media, okay? And immediately John Gruden was turned off, okay? That's what some agents go. They negotiate through the media. That's these guys that tweet these things out, these scoops. These aren't coming from teams. These are coming from agents, okay? And some agents are really slick at how they use the media people, okay? 'Cause let me tell you this, and this is what I hear. This is what goes on. And this guy clearly is a leaker, and clearly Gruden said, I'm not dealing with it, okay? Got rid of him. So there we have it. John, I want you to go back and start your homework, lad. We are not out of this. We've put together back-to-back 3 and 2 weeks. Okay, we've got a chance. I'd like to move it up to 4-1 this week. So
I will do my very best. I'll pull the guys at work.
Okay.
We all like the Bears, though. The Bears really was.
And I didn't listen. Full disclosure. I didn't dislike them. Okay. I hate their special teams, though. All right.
It was a tough one. Kickoff. You don't even see kickoff returns for touchdowns anymore.
No.
I thought all the kickoffs were touchbacks nowadays. They get up 17-7, and then they give up a kickoff return for a touchdown. Come on.
There we go. John Murray, we'll have him tomorrow. 3 o'clock he'll be on, and we'll have the lines from the Superbook for the contest and the Super Contest Gold. You can't beat playing the contest over at the Westgate. Back live, a flatter update, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
We ready? We take teasers on the NBA.
Oh, my man.
Hold on.
My man knows. I can't resist. How about Moneyline Parlay?
There you go. How can you tease the NBA? There's 220 points might be scored.
That's my
this
point.
Extra 4.5 points are really going to do me good. I guarantee he makes the bet.
I can lay 8 with the Warriors. Okay. All right. Now, the Celtics, I can bring them down. Which way, Vinny, do I make more money on the $100? The tees or the money line?
Hey,
Okay.
do yourself a
So-
favor. Don't put either job you have.
You know, I watched last week when Purdue put 46 straight points up on Illinois. And the play calling, creative and aggressive play calling by Jeff Brom is something you just don't see from a lot of coaches. And frankly, there's a lot of NFL coaches would be served to watch film of this guy's play calling and adjust, because I love how aggressive the guy is. And I think they're going to attack Ohio State Saturday night in prime time. And I think the Buckeyes are going to be sweating. They should be on upset alert. I wouldn't be shocked if Purdue wins that game straight up.
Could you please, sir, give us one moment of non-humility where you share once again the stuff that actually started with you? Because we talk about season wins with Jimmy all the time, but you started some stuff.
I had a few things I started. The mega teaser, the super teaser, whatever you call it, that card.
The three-team 10-point
teaser. Yeah, I was the first to come up with that.
That's you. The stuff that everybody takes for granted.
Yeah.
That was you.
I was the first to come up with that.
Wait, JVT's favorite team is the Colts?
Oh, you didn't know this? Loves the Colts. He's got a Colts. He has a Colts tattoo, Jay. He has a Colts tattoo.
Okay, that's inaccurate, but I do have a Colts watch.
Jay, let me ask JVT a question then. What does the Colts stand for?
I'm sorry?
What the Colts?
Like, what is a Colt?
The Colt.
It's a baby horse.
Yes. COLTS. What does that stand for?
I have no idea. What does that stand for?
Oh, I was told this by a Colts fan many years ago, and I still remember it today. Count on losing this Sunday.
Okay. I like it. Yeah. Okay.
I'm Ron Flatter with your VSiN Action Update. The Red Sox are favored to win the World Series, specifically Game 1 as well. Here at the South Point, Chris Sale and the Sox are minus 162 at Fenway Park, facing Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers tonight. Dodgers are plus 152. With rain forecast to taper off around game time and a breeze blowing from third base to first, the total is 7.5 with 20 cents of underjuice. But they did put the tarp back on the field in the past hour after taking it off, so stay tuned for a possible delay. Another football trade, ESPN reports that the Giants have sent up and down cornerback Eli Apple to New Orleans. The Saints gave up a couple draft picks, one each in the 4th and 7th rounds over the next 2 years. Not that this deal would move the needle, but the Giants are 1-point underdogs at home Sunday against Washington. New Orleans, a 1-point road dog Sunday night at Minnesota. Eagles defensive end Derek Barnett is done for the season with a torn rotator cuff. Philly is a field goal underdog visiting Jacksonville. Miami wide receivers Albert Wilson and Kenny Stills will both miss Thursday night's game at Houston. The Dolphins are 7.5-point underdogs. Broncos backup quarterback Chad Kelly. He was jailed overnight, suspected of showing up uninvited and possibly under the influence in someone else's home. Kelly is out on bond and due in a Denver courtroom tomorrow. In a half hour in the NBA, the Pistons will have Andre Drummond. The 76ers will not have Ben Simmons. Still, the Sixers are now 1-point favorites at Detroit. Moments after the earthquake hit that interrupted the World Series at Candlestick Park in 1989, San Francisco Giants radio broadcaster Hank Greenwald was heard to say, "Sadly, that may have been our last best chance to get rid of this ballpark." Sadly, Greenwald has left us. He died today after dealing with heart and kidney trouble. Greenwald also spent time broadcasting the A's, the Warriors, the New York Yankees, and years ago, the old Syracuse Nationals of the NBA. And he did outlive Candlestick Park. Hank Greenwald was 83. For the latest odds all the time, visit vsin.com. Now, back to Brent Musburger here on VSiN.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204 and vsin.com.
Well, let me readily concede, Vinny, that Amal amongst us is the best mathematician, okay? And I go by gut. And I thought that New York Giant coach Pat Shurmur made two horrendous mistakes last night. I want to put up, well, let me go to the first one. You're trailing, I don't remember what the score was. They were behind, was it 10-3, I think. Mm-hmm. They go down to get a first and goal, and they go for it on 4th down and give it back up to the kick the field goal. Kick the field goal in the NFL. Take those points and keep getting those points, okay? Now, all of a sudden, there's this math out there that's telling these guys to go for 2 points. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. Suppose you got a bad football team but a decent kicker, okay? What are you going for 2 points for? I was shocked last night, and all the mathematicians coming out and saying, I'm dead wrong. You convert that 2-point attempt, successful PAT after your second to 46%, whatever it is. To hell with the math. My defense is playing decent. I want to get down to a 7 and see if I can get the ball back. I've got, what did I have, about 4 minutes left in that game? And then Shurmur gets up at the news conference, and I got to tell you, it was bothering him because he brings it up. Mm-hmm. He didn't even wait for a reporter to ask him a question. Okay, he's out there defending it because the mathematicians, maybe he didn't see the game in London the day before, okay? Now, listen, I could justify that one a lot more. At the end of the game, you're down by 1, okay? You've got, 20 seconds left against the Chargers. This is the Titans. You can either kick it, hope you can stop Phillip Rivers after the kickoff, and then go to overtime, okay? That's basically what you're trying to do. So, okay, I say you're going to roll the dice. You've gone a long way for this football game. Win it or lose it, I got no problem. A penalty gives them a 1st and 10 at the 1. I suppose I would have tried to run it from the 1, but whatever. I don't think there's any excuse for the Giants. I'm sorry, Amal, I know you're the math genius in this, but give me the 7-point difference right there. I don't even know what 6 does for me, other than I can win it if I get a touchdown and an extra point. But I'm trying to win the game right there. I'm still behind a touchdown.
Brent, you summarized it perfectly. If you do get the successful conversion, you can win it with the extra point. The only pro I have for it is that you put serious game pressure on the opponent if you make it. But that's the big if. The conversion rate is around 46% for the 2-point conversion. Now, here's the other problem. If you don't make it, now you're down 8. And let's say you lose that game because you don't convert that second time around. That's a big challenge right there. Because it didn't play out in that one, keep in mind, Philadelphia did this a couple of weeks ago against the Minnesota Vikings. They did the exact same thing in that game. They went for 2, down 14, and made it a 6-point game. And it put a little bit more game pressure on the Vikings, but I thought when they made that decision at the time, Peterson, it was a peculiar choice.
first of all, Amal's math is spot on. As good as Amal's math is, some of this play calling, along with the decision making, compounds it. Think about the plays that they called to get them where they're at too. Yeah. So you've got, in the case of the Giants, it's a triple problem. A, your math is off. B, your play calling is awful. And by the way, you're giving the momentum right back to the home side here. That's why you're 1-6.
Vinny brings up an excellent point. When you miss a 2-point conversion and your team is up 8, don't you always feel like you're up 2 scores?
Absolutely.
It's just a different dynamic to me. It's like, well, at least I got to make the 2-point conversion. I'm like, you can have the touchdown.
I completely agree with you. In other words, what was a high note, you're now turning it to a low note.
Right. Because now there's so much pressure to get that next one.
Now your decision for the next one is taken out. There's no option.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
You're not playing with math. You're playing with human beings here.
I'll just tell the coaches the one time, and it's funny because I'm going to pick on this guy because he criticizes them for doing it. Chris Fowler says one time the team's down 22 and you score to make it 16. He's like, why are they going for 2? The reason why you go for 2 is because either you go 1 for 1 or 2 out of 3.
Exactly.
But so many coaches miss that. They kick the extra point there. And then they go for all the marbles at the end. And those are the little nuances that drive me crazy that coaches miss. You know, Brent, I have a philosophy. If I were a head coach in the National Football League and if my team were trailing at any point in the fourth quarter by 9 points or more, I would be in hurry-up offense. The clock in the fourth quarter goes like nobody. I mean, it's just insane how quickly the clock goes. And these coaches, they think they have more time than they really do. And to your point about this 2-pointer, this goes to the broader picture. Some of the decision-making we see in certain situations, it just blows my mind. You spend all this time on X's and O's studying game film, and then you allow the most basic things to cost you a win. And nobody knows better than you. You've been around the NFL for so long. It is so hard to win a game in this league.
Absolutely.
There's no professional sport where the talent between Team 1 and Team 32 is as close as it is in the NFL.
So that's why I say on fourth down when you get down there.
Yeah.
And I know the fans are deflated, and I know everybody. I want to be aggressive for my players. What does that mean? These players want to win. I mean, they don't put the 3 points up there and go on about your business. Okay. Do not give the team the ball down there, especially early in the ball. Listen, I understand late if you're down by more than 3. I've got it. I mean, the time factor is critical in this situation. But so many of these guys are leaving 3 points on the table. And I'm thinking, what are you thinking of?
Well, to your point, we talked about this in the Raiders-Dolphins game. I think your son and I were in agreement that they should have taken the 3 points. And it goes,
absolutely.
Here's the thing. The reason why it becomes important, it's not the 4 points you're missing at that juncture of the game, Brent, that it becomes critical. It becomes important in the 3 points that you could add up later on and then maybe another field goal. Hugh Jackson made the same mistake against Tampa Bay on Sunday. They just didn't take a field goal opportunity. They went for it on fourth down and about 4. It was a terrible decision. You've got to get points in this league.
So I'll say as handicappers, when you take a look at teams, one of the things to consider, don't just look at the raw number. Look at what you're doing with the coaching staff, what you face with them. Now, the truth of the matter is the Giants win the money last night, okay?
It wound up being a game where we needed that result last night. That you have to remember, this game opened 6. It got down to 4, and then it closed 4.5. And I'm talking about here at the South Point. That was pretty much across the board. But the reason the exposure was so much on Atlanta because everything coming into the game, especially after the Sunday night game, was all to Atlanta and the over. Really.
Now this is horribly unfair. Okay, and everybody knows that when I second guess, as Maul knows because I've turned on him and said you don't know what's going to happen afterwards. So let's go to Shermer's decisions. Okay, now let's give him the field goal early in the game. Okay. Where does he stand at the end of the game now? Okay? I mean, I understand everything unfolds differently. And it's not fair for me to say that. However, how important the 3 points look right now after the game is over when you look at that final score?
I mean, I can't add anything to it. It's spot on. But I want to get back to something you said about betting. So true. Doug Peterson, Mike Tomlin, he doesn't do it anymore. But there are certain coaches you have to pay attention to from a spread standpoint because they'll go for 2. At times you're like, I never. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand these coaches going for 2. You know, in the first quarter. And listen, I understand the mathematical argument, but here's the problem. They're taking that risk on a point or two, but then they're not willing to take certain other risk in the game. So it doesn't balance itself out.
It doesn't balance itself at all.
No. Take it into consideration.
When you get on the plus side of the 50, I understand going forward on 4th and short.
Absolutely. I'm a fan of it.
So am I. I got no problem with that because, I thought Atlanta gambled on its last field goal.
Yes.
Good for DeVecchio. He's another former Raider, and, of course, they let him go because he was a left-footed kicker, and the punter they were concerned about is the holder, and the punter hasn't worked out right. So that move by the Raiders has not worked out well for them. But anyway, they're signaling me to go to a commercial. I got to pay some bills. Back, vsin.com, Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
You didn't catch VSiN last week. Here's some of what you missed.
When you take a 3-team tease with 10 points, you're always under that gun. Well, I'll win 2, I'll lose 1, and then the bet's over. But I did my homework this week, as I try to do, and I really like UCLA.
And then who do you want to pair them with?
Houston is at Navy. They're at Annapolis. Houston is 11.5 points, so I would take that game down to 1.5, and then Houston would just have to win by 2.
Right. And then your third team.
Memphis is at Missouri.
And you liked Memphis last week. You were all over Memphis.
I was all over Memphis. Another high-powered team, very good offensive team. I think it's a shootout. I think this could be a 100-point game.
So I go play my lucky machine here, and Ryan, Michael, you guys, this best machines in town. Bob Dancer will tell you. It took about 3 minutes, Mitch. Won about $5,000. Took about 3 minutes. I will buy you lunch today. Can you get a shot of me here? Yeah.
So you're showing up like at 4:01. We wave you off, and you decide to go play video poker, and you hit a royal flush in 3 minutes, and you just won $5,000.
Close to 5,000.
Yeah. It's good. I like the way that works.
In baseball, when we talk about, those of us who handicap baseball and have done so for many years, we always, in our analytics, we talk about splits. And specifically, we talk about home road splits sometimes with certain pitchers. Just an odd thing with certain pitchers based on ballpark. Some teams sign pitchers based on their skill set and their particular dimensions and conditions of their own ballpark. Some of these football teams in the NFL this year seem particularly home road splittish.
So they were really just protecting themselves. Yeah, except for that dude on the right. I don't know what he's clowns thinking he's going to do. Yeah, but the two guys that hit in the orange shirt and the blue, they weren't. Like, the orange shirt's more leaning towards the right. The guy in the blue is kind of protecting himself. Mookie's glove closed before the ball. I don't know if that's because he touched a hand or not, and it's a reaction. I don't know if he's going to catch it, but what I do know is the fans did not go into the field of play to interfere with that ball. I thought that calling that an out was wrong. I mean, I don't know how else you put it. Jose Altuve in Houston got robbed.
Now back to Sin City and My Guys in the Desert with the legend Brent Musburger, live on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Sirius XM Channel 204, and vsin.com.
Wow, Game 1 of the World Series. Amal and Vinny, we're joined by Jimmy Vaccaro. Jimmy, has business been brisk today? People like this World Series from a betting standpoint, Lan?
Yeah, as you can see, young man, behind us, we're about halfway full of the seats already. People wanted to get a good seat for the World Series games, which goes, in about an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, we're starting to build up real good. Now, the bulk of the action was revolving around a few big bets that we've taken earlier during the course of the day, which always spurs other action. So you know about the $50,000 bet on the Dodgers to win it at plus $1.45. Well, when I adjusted that, we took about $15,000 back on the Red Sox, which makes a great two-way action with another hour and a half to go. And the game bouncing around. We absolutely will win a few dollars no matter who wins right now. But you never know, Brent, in these situations, who's going to waltz in here with the last hour. But so far, so good. Great action.
Brent, Jimmy and I were chatting before we came on, and we're behind the counter saying, boy, your dream is always, one of the classic matchups. I guess, Dodgers and Yankees, right? But this is as good a matchup because the Red Sox have become such a public team in the last decade in particular, and with a great following. Dodgers, we always know, always draw money, especially geographically, but nationally as well. This is as good a matchup as from our perspective, is that we could have hoped for, and it'll be a terrific handle.
Brent, I just got a text message from a friend of mine. He's a big-time Dodgers homer season ticket holder, but I got to give Kenny credit. He said to me, he goes, you got to take the Dodgers today, not only on the plus value, but he goes, run line is between 140 and 150.
Yeah.
He goes, when do you get a run and a half with Clayton Kershaw minus 40 and 50? Kershaw's minus, on the run line, he's minus 115 usually. Now you're getting a run and a half with Kershaw? That's amazing.
Well, he's allowed to come in here too.
Listen, Jim,
I
you're right.
understand what you're getting at.
Just on the number standpoint.
You're never going to get a price like this on Kershaw again. Or if the obvious reason, well, let's give the Red Sox some credit too. They're pretty damn good.
Yep.
So, if they won the game, would you be really surprised? 4-2 final Red Sox?
No, I wouldn't. My only argument against it, and this is my point earlier, Clayton Kershaw for the last decade has been the best pitcher in baseball. To me, I thought the price should have been sale minus 130, no more than 135. This number is just astronomical. This is not like the Dodgers or some team that got in as a wild card and got lucky with injuries against opponents.
Yeah. By the way, how about Chris Sale when he was with the White Sox in Dodger Stadium against Clayton Kershaw on June 15th, 2012? A 7-6 final. Dodgers win. Kershaw, $1.30.
I took a run and a half.
You took a run and a half, Jimmy. That good job.
That's right.
You laid 210 on that run and a half, but it was worth it. So this was, we keep the sheets here. And we have a great, and I tell you, Timmy Fitz, he does a great job. We were back there last night. He was doing the in game. Jimmy and I were talking, and we were doing the in game on the Monday night game, and we're going, man, look at this price on Kershaw. So that's when we went back and looked to see some history.
I'm sorry, Amal. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Brent, bet the Dodgers as soon as they go up 1-0. Bet the Red Sox on the plus money, lock in the profit. Call it a day.
Brent, this is what we talk about so often. As you can see right now, we're building the crowd already, and it's a Tuesday. See, the same thing with why you need that big-time team on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We couldn't ask for more, having the Dodgers, first game of the World Series, with Kershaw going for you. We'll write a lot of business in the last hour.
Yeah, I think, Brent, we oftentimes talk about, and we've done it especially during big events, right? We did it during the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, Final Four, certainly the World Series. And we keep exceeding records. And we've got 5 other states with sports wagering now, since New Mexico jumped in last week. I've got to tell you, the handle, and as Jimmy can attest, and he talks about it every week, there is not a reversal trend at all. We're creating new customers, more interest, especially with these big events. And there's no question about, even if it goes 4 games, per game average, I think will be higher than last year.
Here's a funny, not funny out there. You people didn't see this because we were on a break. But 2 people came in to see Brent to say hello, both from Southern California. Her husband bet the Dodgers, she bet the Red Sox. I mean, that's what's great about it.
Right? No wonder why these guys are guaranteed profits.
They're here, and they're at the sports book only because it's the Dodgers playing on a Tuesday night.
There you go.
Listen, I'm going to give you the lock of the year, and Brent, you might want to write this down. This is a compliment coming to your Roll Tide. Bet Alabama first half every week, and you'll make money. 8-0 first half versus the number. That's it. I'm done.
It's
By the way,
unbelievable.
It is.
I got to tell you who started betting that early was Matt Humans.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He was the first one who ever said that to me, and then Amal picked up on it. And what are they
in the second half?
If you bet,
I think they're
them.
1-7 in the second.
So
half.
if you bet on them and then against them,
correct,
right? In the second half, is that the way to do it?
I guess it is. Now, you guys help me out. Have they won every first half? I believe
yes,
they have.
8-0.
Undefeated.
Yeah, they've won every first.
Right.
And you know what? It ain't even a sweat.
No,
it's
exactly. No. The closest one was the Missouri game, but they only needed a field goal, and they still scored a touchdown late in that first half to cover it. Brent, to Jimmy's point, it has not even been close. It's just been amazing the way they've been crushing people.
Now, they get a week off, and then they go into Baton Rouge on a Louisiana Saturday night. I'm sure that's going to be a night game. If they announced it.
I believe it is, isn't it, Amal?
I haven't seen the official announcement, but I'm assuming it's going to be a CBS 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Yeah.
And now, Jimmy, everybody knows I love LSU almost as much as I love the Tide, but I'm not going to recommend taking the points with LSU in this game. I don't know that they have enough firepower to trade blows with them. And remember the linebacker who got kicked out in the second half for targeting, now misses the first half
of the Alabama game.
And that's a big blow for
Yes,
LSU.
Yes, it is.
It's huge, and to your point, Brent, you're right. They don't have the offensive firepower to necessarily stay with them. The one thing I'm looking at is this is, without question, the best defense Alabama's faced.
Yes.
Alabama's a great team. There's no question about it, but I don't like the hyperbole being used that this is the best team ever. I'm like, let them play a defense yet. They haven't played a team with a pulse.
They're the best team now.
Oh, there's no question.
You know,
but I heard a few people saying
from the old-time guys like me, like I shake my head, and they're running to the counter, laying 27.5 in the first half like it's chocolate. It's just like I just shake my head. But you know what? After we pay them off, they're looking at me like, you donkey. You don't know what the hell you're doing either. And they're right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do we have a first inning? Quickly, Vinny, do we have a first inning? Who scores first tonight as a prop?
Team to score first in the game, Dodgers, minus 140.
Because they're batting in the first inning.
They are the
one more
road
prop
team.
that's up there.
Yep.
You didn't see this one?
I didn't see this one.
We have Rondo $1.70 over Chris Paul.
Rondo over Chris Paul. All right. Jimmy, thanks a lot, my
All right,
friend.
buddy.
Coming up, we've got a Ron Flatter update. Visa.com. Sirius XM 204.
It's My Guys in the Desert with Brent Musburger, only on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Keep up to date with everything in the world of sports gaming by going online at vsin.com.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
We ready?